The WAFB Podcast Network is sponsored by Neighbors Federal Credit Union.
All right, welcome back to the weekend, everybody. Best time of the week. You look forward to it from Monday to Thursday. Luckily, it's just Tuesday and Wednesday. We don't have football there, but we're back here. LSU, UCLA coming up later today, I guess, at the time we're posting this. The Tigers a heavy favorite for this mid-afternoon battle. Every game at Tiger Stadium should be a night game. Still on that train. Gonna fight that till the day I die. But anyways, LSU a 3-touchdown favorite. The last number I saw, 21.5. Big favorite against UCLA, which, if you asked me last year or 2 years ago, I would have been like, you're crazy because the Bruins are rolling. Chip Kelly had that program in great standing, solid defensively. Obviously, he takes care of things on the offensive side, but Deshaun Foster, I believe his name is taking over this program. And obviously, Kelly left for OSU, Ohio State, very late in the process, late winter. When that happens, it's really hard to scramble and put together a program. So I'll say this. The Bruins season has gone about as well as Foster's opening statement at Big Ten Media Days. If you know, you know. UCLA's 1-1, beat Hawaii barely in week 0, I think, or week 1. Either way, it wasn't a close, it wasn't a good win. And then got blasted by Indiana, apparently the class of the Big Ten, last week in the Rose Bowl, in their own barn, 42-13. Crazy. What's insane is that I can't believe I'm about to say this sentence. UCLA is the worst team in the Big Ten. Them or Northwestern, they're competing for the worst spot in the Big Ten, which is just wild. Obviously, they've been in the Pac-12 for years. I'm still getting used to them being in the Big Ten. But anyways, LSU's a big favorite against this team. The point there is that UCLA's had a really rough start to the season, and I don't really see that changing in Death Valley. By that, I mean there's no shot UCLA wins this game. It's a matter of how many points does LSU win by. Now, couple ways to think about this. Obviously, college football is wild. 1 week you see this, the next week you see that. A team can, like Kentucky, get blasted by South Carolina and then almost beat Georgia, the number 1 team in the country at the time. College football is very unpredictable. I just don't think that UCLA is going to keep this game close. I can't sit here and tell you that, having watched the film, researched the team. I'm just not really impressed by anything. The quarterback, Ethan Garbers, is a journeyman. Doesn't impress me as a passer. He can get a couple first downs with his legs, but he hasn't seen a pass rush, in my opinion, like LSU's. And that's not saying a whole lot. Keep in mind, they played Indiana and Hawaii, but LSU's got a better pass rush than those two teams. I do like the running back, TJ Harden. Definitely got to keep an eye on. They love to force feed him the football with screen passes and stuff like that. He ran for about 850 last year, so he's a guy that can make some plays. He'll probably get, a couple of his own, highlight plays, a couple chunk gains here and there, I'd imagine, over the course of the day. But he's not the kind of guy that's gonna change the game himself. You know what I'm saying? So receiving wise, I think they bring back their top 3 receivers, but again, having seen what they've done so far, I'm not impressed by the passing game. Defensively, they're replacing a lot. Obviously, the DCs at USC, we talked about him, Danton Lynn, before that USC game to open the year. So they took a hit there. They were really good defensively last season, but they lost a lot of their starters to the draft, to graduation, to the portal. 4th DC in 4 years over there, apparently. A couple notes that I gathered watching their film. They don't have much of a pass rush, whether it's 3, 4, or 5 guys. They didn't really get home at all in Indiana, and LSU's got a better offensive line from a pass-protecting standpoint than Indiana. And Garrett Nussmeier, too, he's really good at just getting rid of the ball early. His first read, his second read, the ball's out. So something to keep an eye on. I don't think they're going to struggle with the pass rush. Very blitz-heavy, too, UCLA. So I think the middle of the field's going to be open, maybe some RPOs, play-action passes, all stuff that plays right into LSU's favor with Aaron Anderson, Kyron Lacey, C.J. Daniels, obviously Garrett Nussmeier, and Chris Hilton's back, too. So I'm excited to see how much he might play in this game. So I think quick decision-making is key for Nuss in this game. UCLA loves to leave their DBs on islands, like cover 0, one-on-one, plays to be made in this game, I think, for LSU's wide receiving core. Also, a lot of missed tackles in that Indiana game, I noticed. So I think Caden Durham, if he gets the lion's share of the carries, which I suspect he will, I'm sure we'll see a heavy dose of Josh Williams and Caleb Jackson as well. Caden Durham flashed his ability to break tackles against South Carolina. So I'd expect him to do the same against this UCLA defense, which showed me they struggle with tackling in the open space. So that's really about all I had. It's tough. Part of me doesn't trust LSU to cover a 3-touchdown spread just because I picked them to cover a touchdown last week in Columbia, and they didn't do that. I feel like most of the time I've picked LSU to cover anything. They just simply haven't done it. But the Tigers, 5-1-1 last year, actually, against the spread as a home favorite. And this reminds me of the Auburn game last year. It was maybe a 10-point spread, something in that neighborhood. And I picked LSU to cover, and they looked good. They won that game. They won it handedly. We have yet to see LSU play its best game. USC, they played okay. Nichols, they played okay. South Carolina, I would argue overall, they played bad, borderline decent. Whatever's in between bad and okay, I guess you could put there. We haven't seen LSU play its best football game start to finish yet. I think this is it. UCLA just does not present a lot that scares me. They don't do a lot that could really hinder this team. Really, they play right into LSU's strengths from an offensive standpoint. And for the Tigers defensively, just don't give up the big plays. I don't think UCLA has a big play guy. TJ Harden maybe, but you could stop a running back. They didn't stop Raheem Sanders. They didn't stop Lenore Sellers. But Ethan Garbers is not the type of athlete Lenore Sellers is. And I just don't see LSU giving up one of those big kind of runs. Again, Brian Kelly talked about it. I like to take him at his word. The big plays will get cleaned up. It was mostly run plays they allowed big play-wise. I just don't see TJ Harden having a 66-yard touchdown run like Raheem Sanders did. So I think the Tigers look to make a point in this game. They look to prove a point like, hey, we won last week. We didn't play well. Now we're moving on to bigger and better things, and we're showing everybody, we're putting the whole nation on notice that LSU is ready for the big games it has left on the schedule. Ole Miss, A&M, Oklahoma, Alabama, obviously. Shoot, you could even throw Arkansas in there. So I think this is the weekend where LSU finally puts together everything that I saw in fall camp that fans expected to see. Dominance on the offensive side, efficiency, red zone, not settling for field goals, converting third down and shorts, and then defensively, I don't really know what we expected, but getting a consistent pass rush, getting off the field on third down, and, not allowing the big plays. That would all be improvement. Really, the last thing I'll say here, the overarching theme here is that LSU needs to continue to fine-tune and tinker things in preparation for Ole Miss. UCLA this weekend, South Alabama in 2 weeks, bye week, then you got Ole Miss. You got to have the best version of your football team ready to play that game. So use this week, obviously win the game, but use this week, use next week in the bye to get yourself in position to win that football game, because your season is hanging in the balance when the Rebels storm into Baton Rouge. You don't win that game, you are not making the playoff. You are not going to the SEC championship game. The season is essentially over, in my opinion. So get ready, find the best version of yourself in the next 3 weeks, take care of business against the Bruins and the Jaguars, bye, and then go out there and beat Ole Miss. We will start to see that process Saturday afternoon when the Tigers host UCLA. My pick, LSU wins, LSU covers. I'm banking on the fact that the Tigers dominate and get that statement win. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Be sure to like and subscribe. We'll catch y'all on the flip side very soon.